Aanchal Sharma, your educator. In this video, we are going to study about Amitav Ghosh this time, one Indian novelist that is very important. This picture right in front of you is of Amitav Ghosh. So let us read something about Amitav Ghosh. So Amitav Ghosh was born on 11th July 1956 in Calcutta, Kolkata, whatever you want to call. He belongs to a Bengali Hindu family. His father was the Lieutenant Colonel and he was one who was deployed in the Indian Army and was an Indian Army officer, because of whom Amitav Ghosh used to travel from one place to another. So because of his father's job, because of Shailendra Chandra Ghosh, Ghosh's job, who was the father of Amitav Ghosh, he got to travel from one place to another. In his childhood, he got ample opportunity to travel to a lot of countries as well as outside the country as well. His travel provided him opportunity to grow up and to see the different cultures, especially the cultures in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh and the Iran, besides the Indian culture that he used to see. So this made Amitav Ghosh really capable of writing the novels with a different texture as compared to the other novelists. Let us read more. So Ghosh married Debra Baker, and she was an author of the In Extremis. It was a book itself, and The Life of Laura Riding, that came out in 1993, which was finalized for the Pulitzer Prize for the biography in 1994 as well. So his wife was also an author or a writer. Now let us discuss about the different novels and about the different works that are written by Amitav Ghosh, and all of them are very important. So Amitav Ghosh, gradually you will see that he is writing around the themes of post-colonialism, the themes of integrity, the themes of environment are very important when we talk about Amitav Ghosh. So this work, The Circle of Reason, this novel came out in 1986. The Circle of Reason, 1986. It is set in India as well as in Africa, and it is also the winner of the Prix Prize in 1990. It focuses on the central character being very much accused of being a terrorist and his journey to Africa. So there are few themes. So we'll see that the focused central character, that is the protagonist, is accused of being a terrorist and connected with the terrorist group. And then there is a journey to Africa that is seen. It is considered as a post-colonial and a post-modern novel and a post-modern literature for the treatment of all the colonial factors that we have seen, and there are a lot of intertextual natures in it as well. So it moves from the sattva to the rajas and to tamas, and these are the three main parts of the novel. The novel narrates three stories, and what is the boundary or what are the basic plots, let us see. The first part deals with the story of Balram Bose and his wife, who is called as Toru Devi, who lives in the Lapukur, a very non-descriptive village in the West Bengal. So it's a village, they are not that rich, and this village is located near West Bengal, near the Indo-Bangladesh borders. So you will see the crossing of the borders, migration, identity crisis, different cultures, post-colonial identities as few themes that are discovered in this novel. Balram Bose is a rationalist and an admirer and the follower of Louis Pasteur, and he was the French microbiologist. His ideals and his whims give actually rise to a very cynicism attitude in his mind, and that is why this leads to his own demise and his own destruction. His wife is also someone who is unfit. Why? Because she has also this kind of madness and obsession with swing and swing machines. So there is fetishism or a fetish nature that is seen in his wife also for swing and swing machines, which broadly will show that this will lead her to madness. So these are few things that you should know about the novel. Then The Shadow Lines, a very important work. It came out in 1988. It talks about a lot of themes. In fact, there is the feminist reading of the character Ela as well, and there is an unnamed narrator in the novel. So gradually we will see that we are getting to know about a story of, getting to know a story about cross-border search, Without even traveling, you will travel a lot of places. Also, it is seen that it is an unnamed, unreliable narrator who is telling the story. So this story is broadly told by an unnamed narrator, but it deals with the life of Tridib, a very important character, and it revolves around his death. It revolves around Maya Devi, a very important character, and around Ela as well. And it talks about and it touches on the concept of cosmopolitanism, how you travel from one place to another without even traveling, and how it is the female who is not given that much power to travel. So there are a lot of critical readings, and I recommend you to read Shadow Lines. It is the most brilliant work of Amitav Ghosh, and you should read it. Also, the lines and the themes of post-colonialism are very sharply portrayed in the novel as well. It deals with the effects of British colonial powers and their departure from India. It also refers to the partition of 1947. It won the famous Sahitya Academy Award, the most prestigious literary prize that is offered by the government of India in 1990. He received another award, that is the Ananda Puruskar, for the same book in Calcutta. The Shadow Lines 1988 captures the perspective of the time and the events, and the story tells us about the very intricate details of the crisscross web of memories of many people. So we are here dealing with memories and how you travel from one place to another, how one location can transpose you with, and with is coming with different memories. So location, memories, transboundaries, we have crisscrossing web structures, post-colonial identity, identity crisis, partition are few themes that you will always look whenever you read this novel. So the story revolves around these two parts. There are two parts for these stories. There is going away and coming home, and the novel is set in 1939 with a journey of wandering in England by Maya Devi and her husband with their son Tridib. Right? So Maya Devi was the narrator's father's aunt and the grandmother's only sister. The novel starts somewhat around 1980 and it ends in 1979, which is a huge time frame. It explores the families of the Datta Chaudharys and the Price family of London. So you see these two families, one from a Calcutta, from a Bengali family, and one is settled in London. So you see how the cross-cultural boundaries are being met here. So their friendship was triggered between the Mr. Justice Chandrasekhar Datta Chaudhary, Tridib's grandfather, and there is the judge, and who was the judge in Calcutta High Court. Along with, there was another family who was settled in London, and his name was Lionel. Right, so these two people became friends when British were ruling in India, and gradually we'll see that how the family would create a gap between each other and how the friendship goes on. So we have these two families who will participate in the conversations throughout the novel. Then we have the Calcutta Chromosome. Calcutta Chromosome came out in 1995. It is a novel which talks about science fiction. Now, it's a very interesting novel. Why is it so interesting? Because it is different than the other novels that we have read of Amitav Ghosh. So this is a science fiction, and also it explores a very prominent question, that from where do you think, or at which point do you think science fiction ends and at which point superstition starts into being. So every time you will see that along with science fiction there is pseudoscience that is attached to it. So this novel will talk about these underlining themes. The first science fiction novel by Amitav Ghosh is the Calcutta Chromosome. It was published somewhat around 1995, 1996. Different places you will find different dates. So Calcutta Chromosome 1995 is divided into two parts. First is August. It is called August 20. This is the mosquito day, and the second part is the day after. So the novel talks about, and it centers around the discovery of the life cycle of the malaria mosquito and how problems are caused, how diseases are caused, and how humans are affected by it. This is the journey, or this is the theme in, around which the novel is centered. But as I told you, which is the one thing that they are talking about? The protagonist, Antar, will make you question the boundaries where the pseudoscience end and where you'll see the science fiction ends. So there is an amalgamation of your science fiction and your superstition that are always very closely knit, right? So this is another novel. Then we have The Glass Palace that came out in 2000. The Glass Palace 2000 is Ghosh's one more historical novel, and it is a very complex literary work to read. It talks about the war that was happening. The time period is also too large, but this novel is a very, a very good critique of the modern society, and it touches upon the theme of post-colonialism, modernity, etc. So it is a complex literary work that is set in various regions and at different periods. The novel is an address to the prevailing issues like the economic changes that were going on. There are constitutional changes in our nation and the impact of modernity in the society. In 2001, this novel, Glass Palace, won the grand prize for fiction at the Frankfurt International eBook Award. So, The Glass Palace is a historical novel which starts in November 1885 and it ends in 1996. It is set in the backdrop of the wars that are happening. You will find there is Anglo-Burmese war that is happening. You will see that covers also touches upon the theme of World War I, World War II. So the time period is too large. And fall of the dynasty in the Monday. The Second World War is also there. Rising of the Indian National Army and the forgotten Long March of 1941. These are the few themes that are always running behind the book, right? So you will see that there is one character, and this one character will directly be in linked with these Burmese wars and the war between the Burmese and the British. And then you will realize that how intricately these themes are attached and how historical background is important. The whole novel is divided into 7 parts. There is the Mandalay, there is Ratnagiri, there is the Money Tree, Morningside, the Front, and the Glass Palace. So these are the different sections through which the novel goes about. So there is one important character, Rajkumar. Rajkumar falls in love with this servant who is working for the king of Burma. But the king of Burma is living in a palace, a very beautiful palace, but he loses this palace because the British invades there, and he now is taken and transposed to Ratnagiri. So look how the borders are transposed from one place to another, and the person whom our character falls in love with is Dolly. So Dolly is the servant of the queen, and you will find that there is another character, Uma, who is taking care of the king who is now settled in Ratnagiri. So we transpose to different locations. Also, this novel is very interesting. Why? It talks about the wildlife, it talks about the forest, it talks about the wood, it talks about the environment at a greater level also. So there is a very interesting line. Do you think any country can colonize another country just for wood? And this is exactly what happened with us, right? So these are the few things that are happening here. And Rajkumar was a thief, and he entered into the palace and fell in love with Dolly. So there are these themes also, that how the common man is going through struggle, how he was a thief, but gradually he becomes a very successful businessman. So there are these themes also that are running beside the novel that is going on. So there is the theme of patriotism, there is a theme of post-colonialism, the theme of love for the nation, as I am telling you, and the theme of colonialism, migration. These are the few themes that you will see across the novel. Then we have The Gun Island. The Gun Island was published in 2019, and it deals with the climate change and human migration, and this was the PYQ as well. So you should know that this novel talks about the climate change and human migration. Then very important, another PYQ, This is a trilogy that is written by Amitav Ghosh. This is called as IBIS trilogy. So Amitav Ghosh, in this IBIS trilogy contribution is very significant as well. So Ghosh's one more contribution to the field of historical fiction arrived in the form of trilogy called as the IBIS trilogy. The Sea of Poppies is the first book. It came out in 2008, and this is the first book, first volume, and it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize 2008 as well. The story is set in the pre-Opium War period, and there you'll see why China wants to just stop the opium trade, or they want to ban it. These are the few details that you will see. Then it summarizes the colonial period of the Southeast Asia also. The second volume of the trilogy is called as The River of Smoke. It came out in 2011, and the last is Flood of Fire, that came out in 2015. So these are the three books. The PYQ was that they were asking which are these three books that are to be included in the IBIS trilogy. So you should know why reading IBIS trilogy is wonderful and why I love reading these books, and I again and again go and read these books. Why? Because I see a lot of themes that are touched by Ghosh here. Not only is he talking about the opium trade, or because it's an historical fiction, so you get to know a lot of details, but it also talks about the other aspects are also there, like there are underlining aspects of culture. You'll see the people from cross national boundaries are crossed. You see people from different hierarchical structure. So you see some are workers, some are soldiers. So there are about 10 to 11 most important characters there, and all of them are doing different work. They are from different strata of the countries, different strata, while the work-wise also they are very different. So you find different situations, you find different hierarchical structures and different backgrounds associated with each people, with each person or each character that you have. That is why this trilogy becomes a very important trilogy, and it is a must-read trilogy as well. What are the three novels that are included? The Sea of Poppies, 2008. We have The River of Smoke, 2011, and The Flood of Fire in 2015. Now we have The Hungry Tide 2004. So The Hungry Tide 2004 is set in the Sundarban, and it follows an unlikely trio who travels up the river together to find a very rare species of dolphin. It's called as the Errawaddy dolphin. It won the Hutch Crossword Book Award also for fiction in 2004. Then we have the Jungle Nama. The Jungle Nama is the first book in verse that was written by Amitav Ghosh. In 2001, this came out, Jungle Nama. It explores the Sundarbans and the legend of Bon Bibi. Right? This is another book. Then there is Ghosh does not only stop by writing different novels, but there are other works that are also very important and are again and again repeatedly asked in your paper. So these are the non-fiction writings. You should at least know the names. We'll just go through them. Ghosh's notable non-fiction work are as follows. There is In an Antique Land in 1992, Dancing in Cambodia and at Large in Burma 1998, Countdown 1999, The Imam and the Indian 2002. It is a collection of essay, and the theme is what? The theme is the fundamentalism, and it also touches upon the historical life and the Egyptian culture. So they are talking about the Egyptian culture here. Then his writings also appear in the newspapers and in the magazines. A very important work is The Great Derangement. It's on the climate change and the unthinkable. It came out in 2016, and Ghosh discussed the modern literature here, the art as it is failing to adequately talk about the climate change now. And this itself is a PYQ, which writer touches upon the theme of climate change again and again. So he is writing about the social causes also. This is the work, The Great Derangement, written by Amitav Ghosh. It came out in 2016. Then in 2021, The Nutmeg's Curse. It's about the parables for the planet in crisis. It was published. And in this, Ghosh is discussing the journey of the nutmeg from the native Banda Islands to the other parts of the world. taking through, and we're looking it through the lens of colonialism and towards this indigenous culture, and of course the environmental change are few of the topics he touches on this work as well. So broadly you will see that Ghosh is again and again touching the topics of post-colonialism, colonialism, nation. He's talking about the nation state a lot. He's talking about different nations, different cultures, crisscross boundaries, crossing of webs. He's talking about the indigenous cultures that are there, and environment and climate change are few important themes that Ghosh talks about. Then there are different awards that you should know that he received. The Shadow Lines got the Sahitya Academy Award and the Ananda Puraskar. The Calcutta Chromosome won the Arthur C. Clarke Award. In 1997, The Sea of Poppies was shortlisted for the 2008 Man Booker Prize. Then The River of Smoke was shortlisted for the Man Asian Literary Prize of 2011. The Government of India awarded him Padma Shri Award as well in 2007. Then Ghosh finally withdrew his novel, the Glass Palace, for the consideration of the Commonwealth Writers' Prize also, right? But he just withdrew this novel, but it was definitely under the recommended list. Now, this is one question that I have for you. Who among the following combines anthropology, history, and fiction in his work? Is it Kamla Markandeya, Mulk Raj Anand, Upamanyu Chatterjee, or is it Amitav Ghosh? And I'm pretty sure you all know the answer. It is Amitav Ghosh. He writes, because he studied anthropology, he of course mixes the historic fiction, the literature, and there is anthropology in it also. So, right? So all of these studies are done together. And another question is there, which of the following is not part of Amitav Ghosh IBIS trilogy? Sea of Poppies, River of Smoke, Blood of Fire, or the Calcutta Chromosome? So again, I'm pretty sure you all are aware that this is the Calcutta Chromosome that is not not included with the IBIS trilogy. It is the Sea of Poppies, River of Smoke, and Flood of Fire that are included in the trilogy called as IBIS trilogy, right? Let us quickly revise what we have done in this video. So we discussed that Amitav Ghosh started writing at a young age, and why he's writing and why is he playing with the borders so much. He's playing it because in his very young age only, he started to travel. Because of his father's business or his father's job, you can say, as an army officer, he got to see different cultures, not only the Indian culture fully, but it is also the Sri Lankan culture, the Bangladeshi culture that he explores. So being a Bengali, he just traveled a lot and got to see a lot. Then, of course, his wife is also a very important writer. Then comes the different novels. We discussed about The Circle of Reason. The Circle of Reason came out in 1986. It also received the 1990 Prex Medicus Award. And it talks about the theme of it talks about the theme of the journey to Africa and terrorism. So the characters are what? The characters are the Balram Bose and his wife Toru Devi are the two important characters that are discussed in this novel. Then a very important novel, Shadow Line. Shadow Line talks about important characters like Ila, we have Maya Devi, and we have Tridab, the very important character. It talks about the crisscrossing web of memories that you have of different cultures, how two families, the Datta family and the Lionel family, are somewhere related to one another. So you will see that there are details given that once we see that when Ela enters the room, she sees a huge table just sitting there, and this table you will find that during the time when Britishers used to, we were colonized and Britishers used to be there, there were huge dining tables when everyone, the whole family used to sit together and eat. So these are the few details that yes, maybe the Britishers have already left, but what is left with us? We are left still with the memories. We are still colonized somewhere. So it's a post-colonial India. We are now also fractured with the memory of partition. Maya Devi is itself fractured with the themes of this colonialism and with the problems that she has faced due to partition. She is now away from her own sister. Also, we will see, if you do a post-call reading or a feminist reading, you will see how Ela is given a voice, but her voice is not heard. And Ela is very much a juxtaposition to Maya Devi. Maya Devi, who has all the qualities of an old lady, of an older generation, a generation who is very wise. And Ela is someone who is very interested in talking to men. She's interested in wearing short skirts and going to parties. So you see the Western culture that is juxtaposed with the culture that is the old culture that we have. So we have these so many intricate plots are there. As I'm telling you, it's a must-read novel, and it also received the Sahitya Academy Award, and this made Ghosh a very famous writer. So this story has 2 parts, and this is also important. It is Going Away. This is the journey of Tridip to London. It refers to that. And then there is Coming Home. Coming Home itself talks about the partition that is happening. Right. So these are the few things that are important. Then we have the Calcutta Chromosome 1995. This talks about the this is divided into 2 parts, the mosquito day and the day after, and it talks about the life cycle of the mosquito who causes malaria. So the character is Antar, and through him we see the amalgamation of 2 very important genres, that is the science fiction and the pseudo fiction. Then we have the Glass Palace. The Glass Palace is an important work. It's a complex literary work, and we see that how the Indian you see that it's a historical novel, and you'll see that there are World War I, World War II, the Indian we have references to Indian Army, we have references to the Anglo-Burmese War. So this is all going into the background. Then we have the Guns Island. The Guns Island is about migration and climate change, as I was telling you. Then we have very important IBIS trilogy. We have these, in this IBIS trilogy, we have Sea of Poppies, we have River of Smoke, and Flood of Fire. And then we have the Hungry Tide. It is about the search of a dolphin, a very rare species near the Sundarbans. Then we have Jungle Nama in 2021. And these are the few non-fiction works that are important. In an Ancient Land, The Dancing in the Cambodia and the Large Burma. Then also we have The Great Derangement and the Nutmeg's Curse. Right, so these are the few important things that you should know, and the greater details are asked from the novels of Amitav Ghosh. So I highly recommend you to know about the different chapter names or the different parts in which the books are divided, know about the IBIS trilogy, and also know about the publishing dates. Right. So these were the few things that you should know. I hope you liked the lesson, and if you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment section and I shall surely reply to you. Thank you.